All right, guys. So it looks like Joe Rogan's fans are very upset with him. They're not exactly turning against him, which I don't expect them to. He's the number one podcaster in the world. He makes really good content, obviously. I'm sure many of you guys watch him. I definitely watch him. He had a very interesting interview with a guy named Wesley Huff. So I watched that one, which I pulled up right here. But people are really upset because Joe Rogan is doing what most major content creators do. Once you get to a point as a content creator where you're just huge, like you're one of the top in the world, you got two things you could do. You can either do what some of the younger streamers are doing, like you could take a sponsorship with like a super sketchy company like Steak, and they pay you all this insane money, or you can take a crazy streaming deal with Kick and get paid like 60, 50, $100 million. Or you could do what Joe Rogan has done. You're already making like 100 million, 200 million, whatever he's making from Spotify. And you still decide for whatever reason to run a bunch of ads in your video. Now, I've thought this for a while. I thought I was alone. But recently, I feel like the ads have gotten kind of crazy. Like, he puts so many. It's almost like Shannon Sharp, if anybody watches him. To me, both those creators put way too many ads in their videos. It's like every 5 minutes there's an ad randomly, and it really is annoying. Like, I get it. You got to get paid, get your money. But these guys should really hold it to just like a few ads per video. We don't need 8 ads in one video that we're never going to buy anyway. Like, I don't know. Has anybody ever bought something from a YouTuber or clicked on an advertisement to a product because a YouTuber showed it? Like, I haven't. Obviously, I guess some people have because that's why the market and people are doing it, but I never have. That's all I can really say. But here's one article I could find that kind of talked about it. Says right here, greedy little man, Joe Rogan under fire despite, oh goodness, I said 100 million. Sorry, I'm old. He signed with Spotify for a $100 million deal years ago. I guess the deal now was 250 million, or maybe I was just wrong in general. I don't know. But says here, Joe Rogan under fire despite $250 million deal as fans enrage for breaking JRE promise. Then it says here, back in 2017 when Joe Rogan took a dig at the then U.S. President Donald Trump for being greedy, no one would have thought the Ace UFC commentator might pursue the very same path. When Rogan signed a $250 million Spotify deal in February 2024, okay, I was right, yeah. A few years ago, he signed for $100 million. He re-upped and signed a new deal. They gave him $250 million. There you go. So when Rogan signed for $250 million Spotify deal in February 2024, everyone knew that once a staunch critic of capitalism was now embracing a profit-driven system like a pro. No doubt about it. No matter who you are, look at people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, right? People like AOC. She'll say everything about capitalism, which I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of her. I think she's a very smart person. But I'm just giving an example. Most of the people who are against capitalism, I think it's actually very hypocritical for anybody to say they're against capitalism and you're out here wearing freaking Nike shoes and nice clothes and you got money and all. It's like you're not against capitalism. It's like the Hassan Piker dude. Same thing. You're against capitalism. You're a socialist. You claim to be, but then you're living in like a $2 million house with all these nice cars and stuff. Joe Rogan's in the same boat. Although I will be honest, I don't remember him being against capitalism, but according to this article, they're saying that he once spoke out against it. But it says here, Joe Rogan, who was once a staunch critic of capitalism, was now embracing a profit-driven system like a pro. However, Joe is not the only one to be blamed for switching his stance. Earlier, the Joe Rogan Experience was an exclusive podcast of Spotify, but that is not the case after the 2024 Spotify X Joe Rogan deal. Now Joe Rogan's podcast is easily accessible to other streaming platforms like YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon. Yeah, that's true. And it's great. It took a long time for them to finally do that, but I've always watched Joe Rogan on YouTube. Once he moved to Spotify exclusively, I didn't have a choice but to watch his podcast on Spotify. But it's good that they're allowing him to be on other platforms. I think that's great. And so it says here, to make this model profitable, the Joe Rogan Experience has started doing unskippable ads as of January 2nd, 2025. Joe Rogan's podcast includes a few ads at the beginning of an episode, once or twice mid-episode, and you can't even skip them. That's crazy. Even the premium users who pay $12 a month cannot get rid of these sponsored ads, and this is not sitting well with premium users. Again, I've witnessed the same thing. He really does have a lot of ads. It is really annoying. The growing frustration among its audience was evident when a Reddit user, annoyed by the surge of ads in Rogan's podcast, posted a screenshot. Here's a screenshot here on Reddit. So for those who don't know, Joe Rogan has a Reddit, and basically this whole thing stems from people complaining about this in his Reddit. So this is what somebody said in the Reddit. Ads mid-episode makes it pointless to pay for Spotify. I understand exactly where they're coming from, because many people who watch Joe Rogan's podcast, they probably either use it as like good background noise while they're listening, or maybe they're working or doing some type of job where they're able to listen to hour-long podcasts, or maybe they're working out. And it's annoying when you're just trying to zone out and do your thing while listening to his podcast, and all of a sudden there's a 3-minute ad that you don't want to hear. This video is sponsored by DraftKings. Make sure you get the crowd, go back to the content. I definitely completely understand. But yeah, people are pretty upset about that. Says here, I get still having ads, but making them skippable was at least meeting paying subscribers halfway. Now it's mid-episode, not skippable in the previous way. Pretty effed. Why pay for Spotify? So they're basically complaining about that. Then people are calling him out in the comments of this Reddit post and talking about what Joe Rogan used to say back in the day, which again, this is what every content creator says. Most of the big content creators on YouTube, you can find old videos of them saying, I'll never sell a course. I'll never take sponsors. I'll never grift you guys. I'll never blast you with sponsorship ads. But it's easy to say when you don't have money. Once you're getting paid a ridiculous amount of money, once these companies are offering you hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars, just for you to place ads in your videos, one ad for $50,000. I see it all the time with some of these YouTube grifters that I talk about. These guys are getting paid insane amounts of money for these advertisements. Once you get to that level, it becomes really hard to say no. You're at that point, when a lot of these content creators get to a certain size, it turns into F my audience. They going to watch anyway because my content is good. That really is what happens. So, says here, Joe Rogan for a decade, ads in the middle of a podcast and gross and completely disrupt the flow. Joe Rogan with 100 million. Hey guys, let me take a quick break to tell you how much I am enjoying AG1. Hilarious. Then somebody commented said his greed is stronger than his convictions. I'd imagine a vast majority of this comment section would do much worse things for 1% of what Spotify gave him. That's true. I can't lie, that's true. Most of the people that are commenting being upset, if they got offered a few $1 million to do what he's doing, they would do it. They would grift like crazy. They'd put an ad every 2 minutes if they could for a few $1 million. So that is true. But it still doesn't make it right. This person said everyone has a price. That is true. Everyone does have a price. And then somebody said, I'll be honest, I'd read ads for 50 million. So you got a little bit of mixed reactions. Some people are upset. Some people are kind of defending it and basically saying that, hey, the amount of money he's getting paid, you do it too. But I want to speak from a viewer perspective and a content creator's perspective. As somebody who watches a lot of content and watches a lot of Joe Rogan's podcasts, I don't like it. It's not fun. But the sad thing about it is that going to stop me from watching? Probably not. I hate to say it, but it's true. So at the end of the day, he's probably going to be able to get away with what he's doing, even though it is pretty greedy. It is. I'm not going to directly call him greedy because it could be that his employer, Spotify, who's paying him all this money, is telling him, listen here, buddy. We just gave you $250 million. This is what you're going to do. You're going to put an ad here and here and here and here, and you can't skip here and you can't skip there. That could be possible. Spotify could have just told him, you don't have a choice. Could have happened. I don't know. But people are definitely upset. And then somebody else also pointed something out else interesting that I didn't even know. I have never looked at the description of Joe Rogan's videos. Never. I just click and turn on the podcast. But people are pointing out that Joe Rogan has now put ads in the description of his video. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. That's ridiculous. That's taking it over. But that's taking it to the next level. Like, all right, bro. You don't need to be putting all these dang ads at the beginning of your damn in the description. That's ridiculous. So when you go to the description, let's say you want to look at the description for whatever reason. See what other links he might promote or whatever he might say about what the video's about. I don't know. But instead, when you go there, you get a bunch of advertisements and links with his name at the end saying, hey, check out ExpressVPN. You get 4 months free by clicking on my link and using my code Rogan. Or check out DraftKings, which I'm not going to lie to you. I do not think people should promote gambling sites. I think gambling is terrible. Now, I used to gamble. I actually don't gamble anymore. I can't even call myself a gambler anymore. I used to do sports betting. I stopped, and I don't plan to ever go back because it's just a dark space. It really is. It can get really addicting. Not saying I ever got addicted and spent all this money, because I didn't. But it gets to a point where you're just wasting money because you really never win. Like it's a losing game over the long term. Over the long term, when you gamble, whether it's sports or whatever, you will lose in the long term. That's just how it goes. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't even think a guy like him, who I consider to be pretty moral, a pretty decent, good guy, to be promoting DraftKings on his channel. I definitely wouldn't do that. But yeah, people are really upset because when you go to the description, it has all these ads, and at the very bottom, it tells you what the video is about. Hey, Wesley Huff is a Christian apologist, public speaker, blah, blah, blah. But you got to get through all these ads first and click his link and use his code Rogan to get your discount. So, yeah, people are upset about this. And again, Joe Rogan's not the first person this happened to. This happened to a lot of content creators where they get really big and they just start blasting you with ads, and it gets really, really annoying. And it's like, all right, bro, we get it. But as we know, that's not going to stop people from watching your content as long as your content is that good that it keeps people watching. Sad reality, but that's the truth. Anyway, that's today's video. Just wanted to cover the Joe Rogan stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.